Today, I'm going to show you how we take basic white Legos and turn them into the coolest works of art, printing directly onto these Legos with my brand new Eufy Make UV Printer. Whether you're a maker, a small business owner, or just someone who likes really cool crafts, this video is going to be for you. I'm going to show you how we take a picture, print it onto Legos, all using the Eufy Make Studio software. We don't need any additional software for today's project. So if you're looking for a unique project to make on your brand new Eufy Make UV Printer, this video is for you. I'm going to show you step by step how we take ordinary white Legos and turn them into works of art. Let's go. So while I wait for my machine to turn on, what we're going to do is we're going to come over here into the plus sign just to add in a new canvas. Then what I need you to do, once it's loaded up, we can do actual work while the machine is starting up, okay? Today I am going to be using the mini flatbed just because the Legos heart that I created will fit onto the mini flatbed. Using the mini flatbed, there really truly is no difference between the mini and the large. The only real true difference here is when we create the snapshot, because the bed of the mini is so much smaller, is actually a lot quicker than the larger one. And so I love being fast versus slow. So I'm just going to use the mini bed just so it makes it quicker for me, okay? At this point, what we need to do is take the pictures that we want to use and print onto our Legos and drag and drop it within the Eufy Make Studio. So I'm just gonna go over here into my downloads folder, and I have this picture right here of my cute little kids and husband. So I'm just gonna drag and drop it into the Eufy Make Studio. And there it is right here. Now, the unfortunate part about this studio is that there's no other editing services like contrast or lightening, darkening, and all of that stuff. So if you wanted to do any type of photo edits, you should have done this before dragging and dropping within the Eufy Make Studio, okay? Now, for this particular project, you could, if you wanted to do some textures or relief textures or stuff like that. The problem here is that if you do that, you're not going to be able to take apart your Legos. Here's the deal though, like if you wanted to just gift somebody the heart just as it stands like this, then it really doesn't matter if they can assemble or disassemble it. The only thing that I struggle with, like if you were to give this to somebody or if you were to sell it, what happens is generally with Legos, people take it apart and put it back together. If there's so much ink on there, what happens is that ink gets more and more brittle over time, okay? And so if we were to really manipulate this over and over and over again, what happens is your ink will start to crack, okay? So the least amount of ink on these types of things is better, especially if they're going to take it apart, okay? So for me, what I say is like, I'm personally not going to do any type of like layers or anything else like that, because just in case somebody wanted to disassemble this, we're not going to have any issues. The way that it stands right now, I can take these apart and not have any weird chipping on my design. When I put it back together, do you see how now there's no like chipping on my photo, okay? That's because I have a very thin layer of ink on these things. If you do a thicker layer, and I'm gonna I just did it across everyone's face, you probably, when you took this apart, you probably cracked the ink. And so then when you put it back together, if this was thicker, you would have cracks in between the two, like where the seams are. And because I have a thin layer, there is no cracks in between everyone. Okay, so just keep that in mind when we're printing on Legos, all right? And the one thing that I forgot to mention here, and it is really important, I have talked to you about this in previous videos, but just in case you missed it, the substrate matters here, okay? You could, if you wanted to, use red Legos, green Legos, whatever you had on hand to print onto your Lego, all right? But the reason why I chose white is because I'm going to eliminate the whole white layer because I already have white here on my Legos, which does two things. One, it conserves on ink consumption, and two, it eliminates a layer of ink that gets put onto my Legos, which is important, right? We don't want too thick of Legos because our stuff will crack right off of this when we go to take it apart. If we now have a white substrate, what ends up happening is I get to eliminate a white layer, put only color down, and it's going to look like this without any issues. Now, if you're doing a red Lego and you're printing on top of it, what you need to do is do the white and then CMYK. So back here over on the Eufy Make Studio, do you see how this ink mode right here is set to white and then CMYK? Essentially what that means is a layer of white ink is going to get laid on top of my Legos before the color. Now, because I have the white Legos, what I need to do is come over here and only do CMYK. Okay, so the next thing we have to do is prep our item. This right here is a Lego that I've already assembled, and I want to show you why this next step is really important, okay? What I didn't show you earlier is that on the sides, this is my very first test, and on the sides, may be hard to see, but do you see this blue line? It's not on all of it, but do you see that blue? That's overspray. And wow, it's hard to see and doesn't, from the front, you can't ever see it. I personally don't love the fact that we have overspray right here. How do we combat that? It's not hard. You just get yourself some painter's tape. This is all I have, frog tape. The regular blue tape, because this stuff right here is kind of pricey. The regular blue painter's tape will work just fine. But what you want to do is wrap the sides. This is not a necessary step if you don't mind the overspray on your item. But again, I am kind of nitpicky about that, and I don't want anyone that receives anything I make with like any type of imperfections. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of tape and I'm going to wrap my sides around just like this, and then just trim off a lot of the excess. If you have anything left over, what we can do is we can fold it down the back side. You could do a double-sided Lego heart print if you wanted to. Then at that point, what I would suggest doing is making sure that your tape is not gonna fold over onto the back side of this, and only doing, like, you could take an X-Acto knife, but do you see how mine has like a little bit of a lip right here? So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna fold this over just so it lays nice and flat on my bed. If you were going to do a double-sided print, again, what I would make sure and do is trim up the edges nice and tight so there is no fold over. So then when we print on one side, all you'd have to do is turn it over and print on the other, and then you wouldn't have to retape this. The way that it sits right here, what I would end up having to do is print, take my tape off, put more tape on, and then reprint the other side, okay? I'm gonna make sure that none of my tape is covering my front side. So this is what it looks like. Now, protecting our mat. I've talked about this before, but if this is optional, the mats that are on the Eufy Make printer bed is sticky, right? It's just like a Cricut mat. Or if you have an M1 Ultra or an M1 from X-Tool, those like double-sided sticky mats is essentially the same thing. But what makers are doing is they are, so they don't have to constantly do consumables, because that is a consumable, is they're protecting their workspace from overspray. And what a lot of people have been doing is the good old painter's tape like this, where they're just taking a little bit of painter's tape and they're lining their project like this. Do you see how I have it hanging over the sides just like that? Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to lay this into the UV printing bed. And so when we print the picture, what's going to happen is that extra ink, the overspray ink, is going to get printed onto the painter's tape versus actually onto my mat, conserving the mat, which again is a consumable. So let's go load this up into the UV printer bed. All right, open this up. I just wanted to show you, I did not do that hack that we're getting ready to do with my first one. And look, I have a lot of overspray here, okay? So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to now use this, and I put this onto my mat. You want to make sure that whatever it is that you're doing fits within this white dotted line that's right here, okay? So we're going to put this onto my mat into the center, and then we're going to place it like nice and flat. All right, there we go. I'm going to put this into my machine, lock it into place. Now, the reason why this is a consumable is because I have this overspray on here, right? This right here is no longer sticky. This, the stuff that doesn't have the overspray, is still sticky. if I were to have done this for everything, like my original, I would still have a lot of stick here. But since I don't, that's why I have to move over here to the left just so it sticks a little bit better. Then going over into the Eufy Make Studio, my machine is done turning on, so I'm just going to press OK. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a snapshot of what I just loaded into my Eufy Make UV printer. All right, so there is my brand new Lego heart. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag my picture over to my heart. Now what we can do is resize this. And actually, my son's head's going to get cut off here. So how do we fix this? Well, this picture is not going to work because his head's going to get cut off no matter where I place this. And if I make sure and get him on there, what ends up happening is I'll have a little bit cut off here. So I need to find a new picture. All right, now, okay, so I have found another picture. Hopefully this works. Oh, and it needs to be the correct file size. So now what I have to do is convert this image over into a JPEG. There it is. Now I need to drag and drop it into the Eufy Make Studio. All right, there it is. Now let's see if this one will fit onto my Lego. Yep, this will be fine. Okay, so do you see how right now the way that it sits first is that every single time I actually want to readjust this, I have to click and drag this in order to see how this alignment is going to be. If you wanted to figure it out very easily, what you could do is come down here into this opacity and drag down the opacity. You do want to remember to change it back when you are done because your print will turn out like crud if you don't, okay? So we're just going to make this a little bit bigger just so it fits onto my Lego just perfectly. Now, there is like gonna be a ton of overspray all over the place, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come over here into this crop and I'm gonna free draw this. Now what I'm gonna do, I wish that this right here would be opaque, but it doesn't. All I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drag this down to where it goes just a little bit above my Lego at the top. And then doing the same for the bottom, I'm gonna just go down here to where it just is a little bit larger than my Lego heart, and I'm gonna click out. I like how everyone's placed. What you wanna make sure at this point is take this and make your opacity larger. Now, because I changed my picture, what I have to do is change my ink mode over. So coming over here to white, we're gonna change it to CMYK. Now that we're done doing that, we can press print. Now this print is going to take a less than 0.01 milliliters. That's wonderful. So then all we need to do is press the magic button at the very top, or the happy button is what I would like to say. Now the machine is going to do the print onto my Lego. That was a total of 3 minutes for that print. And oh my gosh, it turned out so stinking cute. So I'm just going to take this off and look at that. So stinking cute. So then this one doesn't seem like it would have a whole lot of overspray on there at all, but just in case, see how this was like, this right here would have been on my actual mat and it didn't. But then also my sides, when we peel this off, there is the sides. Looks good. Oh my gosh, I'm in love. So if you wanted to, what you could do is reprint on the other side. All right, rewrapped it. Now I'm going to put this back on it. Lay this back onto my mat, just like that. Okay, and then what I've decided here is that this Christmas, we were in Lexington, Kentucky for that Christmas. So what I'm gonna do is I am just gonna look up Lexington, Kentucky map. Which one should I use? This one right here. So I'm going to save this image as, okay. Then I'm going to open up the Eufy Make. I'm gonna press finish. We'll go back over here into this design, just select that and delete. We're gonna do a snapshot. That's gonna take a live preview of what's inside my Eufy Make, and I'm gonna drag and drop my map into the Eufy Make software. Right, doing the same thing that we've done before, I'm just going to wait until my snapshot is complete. All right, doing the same steps. I'm just going to drag this into my design. I'm going to lower the opacity just a little bit so I can see where I'm going here. All right, then I'm gonna resize this just so I don't have so much overspray. Clicking out of that. Okay, looks really good. I'm gonna change this over again from just to CMYK and pressing print. All right, this says it's gonna take 0.00 milliliters. I think that's a little wrong because it's obviously going to do something more than that, but we'll just press the happy button and see what happens. Okay, now I realize why it was only gonna take 0.00 milliliters. It's because I missed a step. Remember, I said this earlier. I said, remember to bump the opacity up, and then I didn't? Who was gonna tell me that? Was anyone screaming at me, yo, Ashley, turn the opacity back up? All right, let's turn it back up to 100. Keeping with the same ink mode, I'm just gonna press print. My gosh. Now what happens during this is because I have to I'm technically reprocessing this. The machine itself is going to do another snapshot. I didn't touch anything on this, so I shouldn't have any issues with the reprint printing exactly where I needed to. I mean, nothing even printed anyways. Oh my goodness gracious. All right, now at least we have 0.01 milliliters, which is better than 0.00. Okay, press the magic button. We're gonna get a good print this time, I swear. This one only took 2 minutes. Oh my gosh. And we actually have a print on this one. Here you go. So this looks so good. So I'm gonna be gentle. Now that I have a print on the back side, I'm gonna be gentle with taking off this painter's tape, because this stuff, the blue painter's tape would probably be perfect for this just because the green stuff is like super sticky. But this is what the front looks like. And then here's what the back looks like. So a map of exactly where we spent Christmas at. Oh my gosh, so cute.
And that's it. That's how we turn basic white Legos into really cool family mementos. Turned out absolutely fabulous and so easy to make. Now, I have printed on a ton of different items with my brand new Eufy Make UV printer. However, I'm sure I'm missing a whole bunch. What should I print on next? Make sure and leave your ideas in the comments of this video. Who knows? Maybe it'll be the next thing I print on. I'll see you later, my friends.